the Dog on the Pitch podcast, where we look at the funny side of football. I'm Guy Fagan, and in each show, I'm joined by a special guest, and we talk about their footballing experiences, anecdotes, and escapades. Be sure to subscribe to the show so you're not missing out. Again, be sure to subscribe to the show. Today, I'm joined by comedian and Liverpool FC fan, Dean Aldridge, and we're going to be talking Liverpool FC and also about his comedy career so far. So welcome to the show, Dean. How's it going, mate?
All good. Thank you for having me on, Guy. I appreciate it, mate.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, mate. It's a pleasure. So how's it been going in lockdown? Are you kind of getting some gigs in the diary now? We're coming out.
Slowly coming back. Yeah, I've got a couple booked in. I've actually enjoyed lockdown, to be honest with you, mate. It's been a total restructure in our house where I'm now the one that's at home with the kids. So I'm spending more time with my kids and I'm actually enjoying that, mate, to be honest with you. So
great stuff. Some time with the family, and you know, it's a good sort of opportunity, isn't it, just to kind of press the refresh button and
yeah, exactly that, and just weigh up your options kind of thing. It was a good time for my wife to go back to work and stuff like that as well. So yeah, man.
Great. All right. Well, I think it's time we address the elephant in the room. So we've had a lot in the news this week about the European Super League. And I'm sure you feel as strongly as I do on it. But what do you think it means now for football and for Liverpool FC? Where do we go from here?
I mean, obviously the news is out now that the English teams have backed out of it. I'm happy with that. I think the whole idea of it was just about filling more pockets of billionaires who've already got the money where they want it. It was never going to work, Guy, in my eyes. You know what I mean? It's not what football wants. It's not what anyone wants except for the 12 people who structured it. But I'm just glad now that my team's backed out of it and said we've made a mistake. But saying that, I still feel like there's punishment that we need to serve for it. I know that won't be fair on the fans, the players, and the staff, but unfortunately, our chairman represents us as a club, and there is a punishment to pay for it, mate. It was a stupid idea, and whether that means he needs to step down or there's a point deduction or a ban from Europe, I'll take it on the chin, mate. I'm not. As long as English football stays in the structure it is, I'm happy.
Yeah. I think what's frustrating, obviously, I'm a Tranmere fan, so of course I've got a vested interest. But they haven't even thought about the fans. I think what's worse is, that I think they know the fans don't want this, or they're stupid, and they're not stupid. So they know the fans don't want it, and they've still gone ahead and trying to line.
That's it. Like there was no communication. There was nothing, and this is from the manager downwards. There was no communication with managers, players, fans. Nobody wanted it, but no one was asked if he wanted it either. So it's been silly on his part. But for FSG, I can only discuss my own club. So FSG, our owners, there's only one way they can go now. Mate. They need to find a buyer and just move on because they won't be welcome back at Anfield.
Yeah. And I think it's an opportunity to have a wider discussion. I know you talked about the pyramid, but as we know, I don't know about yourself, but kind of there's not many people who can afford to go to a game, certainly in the Premier League.
I think that's a key. I think that's a key thing. Like, obviously, prices of tickets. We've won this battle. Why aren't we doing it for things like that? For ticket prices and every fan base should own 51% of their club. Do it the German way, so none of this can happen.
Yeah,
I've read that from so many people who agree with me. But there's so much more that if football fans got together the way we did about this, we'd have the game as we want it.
Absolutely. I think it's an opportunity for the football fans to get together, and it's not about football can only be the winner. Be it your Premier League clubs and I think definitely the Premiership fans that have been involved with this, they've got a common aim now, haven't they? And I think definitely there's got to be a lot of sort of communication behind the scenes, with the likes of the Chelsea and the Arsenal and
Definitely.
as fans.
But also, we need a structure in place where you don't get the collapse of smaller clubs. I believe who was it that's one? Is it Berry that went or someone like that? Someone lost the club completely, and it's like that shouldn't be happening in the English game. There's enough money in the English game where clubs should be safe no matter what. And if you're in the Football League, your club should be safe. And then you look at like the Scottish League, all right, it gets the piss taken out of it because it's not the highest standard. But if Celtic win something, their prize money is dished out between smaller clubs as well. Do you know what I mean? So you've got that kind of thing, right, where prize funds and stuff like that, it's spread out across the board, and you're not just getting one team getting 190 million, and then there's fans who don't even know if their club's going to be there next week.
Yeah. And definitely with the pandemic as well. I know a lot of clubs. I think it's Colchester. I think they're definite risk of administration, and I think it needs to filter down. We don't want to lose clubs. There needs to be that kind of grassroots, and like we talked, I think just off camera just before, we talked about Shamal George at Liverpool, who was on loan at Tranmere, and there needs to be that opportunity for players to go out, so they're not just being stockpiled and just playing sort of youth football or under 23s football, that they're actually experiencing men's football.
As we touched on with Shamal George went on loan to Tranmere for 1 or 2 months. The reason behind that, Tranmere just couldn't afford his wages. He's a young lad who's not even breaking into first team football, and he was on 13 to 15 grand a week, and you're thinking, why? What's he actually doing? He's not doing that in a rare club yet, but your club can't afford to loan him for more than 2 months. These lads aren't progressing.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, if you're investing that sort of money in a player, you're paying them so many grand a week. Surely you want them to be contributing and getting an opportunity to play.
And not only that, it benefits Liverpool loaning players like Shamal out to smaller clubs. I know it's a loan where, all right, you feel like you're getting a service, but we're getting a service as well. If anything, if his wage is 13 grand a week, match that and put that into the club's back pocket, because they're helping develop your player.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you know what I mean?
It should be filtering down. So there we go. So let's get on to hopefully a happier subject.
Yeah.
Your comedy career so far. So anybody who's not familiar with you, Dean, can you tell us what you're about in terms of comedy, and what sort of things you get involved in?
My style of comedy, I like to laugh at my own misfortunes, my own family life, things people can sort of relate to and say, fuck's sake, I've done that as well. Do you know what I mean? I've only been going, I think I've been doing it 2 years before lockdown come, so I'm not classing the last year as a successful year, obviously, because we've had nothing on. But I was just starting to break into, like, I was opening for Jack Ryan, and I'd done 25 minutes for him, and I was thinking, right, I've got my foot in the door here, and just as I was getting to that point, it was shut down. So I've just got to recharge my batteries and go again. But since the lockdown, I've had a chance to get a lot of material down, and really work on myself and figure myself out. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the MCing side of things as well. I love hosting nights and throwing nights on and stuff like that. I love all that kind of thing, because it's just like being in front of an audience.
Wow. And a bit of a dog in the background there. So I know you've been doing some chat show. You've been a chat host, haven't you?
Yeah. So the idea was I was going to start my own podcast. I was going to get a variety of people on, and then I started doing a little bit of acting as well with a company called Trinity Media.
Okay.
And the producer of that said to me, well, instead of doing a podcast, he had an idea of having a show, like a Jonathan Ross kind of thing. So we said, well, why don't we do that instead? So I went, okay, we gave it a go. And it's kicked on from there. Friday night with Dean Aldridge. I can't believe I've got my own show, mate. Do you know what I mean? We've had some cracking guests on. It's doing well. It's getting a lot of views. And yeah, it's a good start. It's a good platform. And it raises the profile of Trinity, which I'm now, I'm a part of the ownership of Trinity now as well, which is a good thing that's come of it. But I'd like to try and variety. Each week we have a musical guest on, like a musician. Try and keep it to like people who aren't actually signed or heard of yet that should have been. Yeah. And then obviously I've got like actors who come on, comedians. I've got a magician on this week. I try and just keep it all like varied, you know what I mean? Just try and mix it up and keep it interesting, because as I say, there's people out there who should have been heard of who just haven't had a platform yet. That's all I'm trying to do. Just give someone a platform to show off the skills.
You talked about the MCing. You do a lot of that as well. Have you got any sort of MCing lined up?
Yeah, so I've got my own comedy night, which is at Connect Studios in Seaforth, and I had that a couple of years ago. Yeah. We gave it a couple of trial nights. It went well, and then the owner of Connect got back in touch with me after the lockdown was like, it was announced we were coming out of it, and we've agreed 4 dates coming up, and then as long as they go all right, that'll continue for every 2 weeks. We'll have a show on. So I love all that. I love the hosting and thinking on the spot and just talking to people. Do you know what I mean? That's me.
Yeah. You do a lot of the I know we, like up in Liverpool, you got the likes of Paul Smith, haven't you?
Yeah.
Hot Water Club, and do you do a lot of the crowd work, and is that something you do a lot of as well?
Yeah, I feel like I don't mean to blow smoke up my own arse, but I feel like I'm natural to that. I feel like that's, if I could choose a part of comedy where I know I'm successful, it's doing that. Obviously I'm not as big as Paul Smith yet, but if I can get half as close to what good he is, you know what I mean?
Wow. I mean, I guess you've been going 2 years, haven't you? And like you say, a year of that you've been in lockdown, so yeah, you're doing well, aren't you? You're doing well.
Well, I've been on stages since I was 9. I was an actor since I was 9, and then, as I say, I went into comedy when I got a bit fed up of acting. Even though I've varied back into it a little bit now, I got into comedy just to try something new, and it's gone well. It's going all right. I'm happy where I'm at the minute, but obviously we all just want to get to the next level. Then, do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. So if people want to sort of find out about the show that you host, what's that show called, Dean?
So it's Friday Night with Dean Aldridge. If you type that in on YouTube, it'll come up. I think there's 4 episodes out already, 4 or 5, something like that. Then you've got Friday Night with Dean on across all social medias. And then, you can find it across anywhere, mate. If you just type in Friday Night with Dean Aldridge, it'll come up somewhere.
Great stuff. And we're going to get on to business now. So, of course, Dean, you are a proud Liverpool FC fan.
Yeah, I am, yeah.
So how did it all start off? What's your earliest memory supporting Liverpool?
My earliest memory, I was 7 years old, and my dad come home and told me he was taking me to my first football match. It was the derby at Goodison Park. My dad, being a blue, thought he was going to try and swing me that way. The game itself was the most boring game I've ever been to, and I remember it for one thing. It was the derby where Sander Westerveld kicked the ball at the back of Frankie Jefferson's back, and it went back into the goal, but the referee blew the full-time whistle.
Oh, yes.
And everyone went nuts, and I was just stood there going, does it count or not? We finished 0-0 the game. The goal was disallowed, and even though it was a 0-0, I think Liverpool feel like they won that day. You know what I mean? I was only 7. I took in the odd bit. Michael Owen was playing, Fowler played, a couple of little things that I took from the game, but I was still only a kid. But I knew that I was sort of swaying towards Liverpool anyway, because my older brother and my uncle were Reds, and I saw how much they loved going to like Anfield and stuff like that. My uncle used to be an ice cream van driver, ice cream man, and he done his round outside the game, and him and my brother would shoot in, watch the match, and leave 5 minutes before the end to get back to the ice cream van to sell all the ice creams at the end.
All right, so part of the business, and I'm sure there was a lot of ice creams to be sold, wasn't there?
Not half, yeah. I think he was fuming one day because one day they left early and it was the game where Liverpool and Newcastle played out to 4-3.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Collymore won it at the end, but they'd already got off.
Oh, no.
What a game to leave, eh?
Yeah, I remember that. That was, I think that was when Newcastle were they were like 10 points ahead or whatever, weren't they? And that
yeah, they were sort of, it was them and United going for it, weren't it? And Kevin Keegan, I always remember Keegan falling over the side of the board.
Yeah, yeah, he was just done, wasn't he? Yeah, okay. So what's been your, and I'm sure there's been lots,
yeah,
you know, and I can't really sort of empathise with you being a Tranmere fan, but what's been your biggest high supporting Liverpool?
I mean, I've watched Liverpool win everything in my lifetime, which is a blessing. Do you know what I mean? Because there's not a lot of clubs out there that win a trophy. Never mind everything there is to win in the game. So I've been blessed that side of things, that I follow a great club and we are successful. Obviously, Istanbul stands out. I remember watching that final in the living room with my mum.
Yeah.
That was one of the emotions. I mean, I was only in like year 9 at the time. I'm watching your team getting battered at half time, 3-0, and then watching them come back, and it's just you can't explain that. Do you know what I mean? I don't think anyone that's not a Red can explain that feeling. I was just insane. That night, that whole night was just the best feeling ever. Obviously, we've won it since as well, and we've won the league, and winning the league, it was good, but because of no fans being allowed in the grounds, and it just took the sting out of it a little bit. Do you know what I mean? So I'm hoping we get to do that again in the future. But yeah, it'll have to be Istanbul. It's got to be.
Yeah, I can understand. I'm a Liverpool fan, but I can definitely understand. I mean, the emotion on that night, and just going from, you must have been just absolute, you know, the lowest of the low.
Yeah.
You know, 45 minutes and penalties later, you're champions of Europe.
I remember getting a text off my dad at half time and saying my dad's a Blue, and he was working away at the time. And I think my mum must have phoned him or messaged him and said he's heartbroken here. I was in my room, I was fucking crying my eyes out, 3-0 down. I remember getting a text off my dad saying they're going to do something here. And he's a Blue, do you know what I mean? He had no right to say it. I think he was just trying to make me feel better. But 15 minutes after half time, it was a different game. And I was like, wow, this is my club, do you know what I mean? It's like, I'd never experienced anything like that before. And then the following year, the following year we had it again with West Ham in the FA Cup final. And we just went, Gerrard scored the screaming at the end, and you just like, it was just, and it just felt constant after that. We just had all these comebacks, and brilliant, mate.
Great stuff. Well, of course, Tranmere have got their Istanbul, which was the game against Southampton.
I think our John was the manager at the time, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah. That was the Oh My Word Barlow. They've got a 4th game. So there we go. Yeah, not quite the same as winning the European Cup.
Try telling John that.
I know. Passionate guy. No, so is he a relation?
Yeah, he said, I think second cousin or cousin to me, dad, he is. Yeah.
Okay, I can see a little bit of a family resemblance. I think the goatee helps, the beard helps, definitely.
Nice one.
But, yeah, I'm sure you'll be pleased with that.
He's, listen, we're related somehow, as I say, second cousin, something like that, but he's not someone that you see, do you know what I mean? He's out living his good life, mate. Fair play to him.
Yeah, no, I don't blame him. You know, he did, and I think kind of in hindsight now, what he did at Tranmere, it kind of stands in a really good stead, because he kept us up. You know, we definitely punched above our weight.
Yeah.
A few seasons with him in charge, and kept us in the championship as it is now, and we had all of those cup runs. And I think he just wasn't enjoying it, and the whole sort of stress of it, and he needed to get out, and fair play to him, you know. I know he kind of does a lot for Liverpool now, doesn't he? Does it?
Yeah, he's found his place with commentary and stuff like that, hasn't he? So it suits him down to his tea, because as you said there, he's passionate. You can't hold it in when Liverpool score, can he? He loves it.
Nah. So yeah, a lot of respect for Aldo. All right, so we're going to go from the biggest high, lowest low. So can you tell us about your lowest low supporting Liverpool?
Yeah, I mean, match-wise, obviously, we had it Arden at Stoke, stuff like that. The lowest point for me was the day we signed Paul Konchesky.
Okay.
The reason behind it, fair enough, for a club like West Ham or something like that, he was a great player, but it highlighted the bad patch that Liverpool were going through at that point. We nearly lost the club. The club was in so much debt, and the previous owners were driving us down shit streets, and signed Paul Konchesky, and I just went, wow, that's the direction we're going in, do you know what I mean? Like, our left back's in. And then we looked at the rest of the team. We had Jay Spearing. No offence to Jay Spearing. I know he plays for yourselves now, but he's not he shouldn't have been a Liverpool central midfielder for as long as he was. We had Voronin up front. We signed some Jovanovic. I'd never even heard of him. Joe Cole. When we signed Joe Cole at that time, everyone's like, "Oh no, this is it. We're going to win the league and all that." I was like, "You're fucking taking the piss. We've got Paul Konchesky at left back and Joe Cole on the left wing." I just can't. At that point, it was bad because we had Mascherano leaving, and I think players were just fed up. It was such a bad patch for Liverpool, and that was my lowest time following the club. Strangely enough, though, I still went to every game at the time, and at home and away, we were there, and we were still doing our bit and singing them on. But yeah, it was they were dark days. Obviously, as I say, we've had a couple of Ardens over the past. 6-1 to Stoke, and United have turned us over. City have. Them days happen. You know what I mean? You get on with it, don't you?
Yeah. So at the time, so obviously you signing these players, like Konchesky. Was that Hodgson in charge then, was it?
Yeah, it was Roy Hodgson. Yeah, he never should have had the job, to be fair. And I felt bad because he was in a job that he couldn't win. The owners weren't great. We'd have all the stuff going on with, like, Rafa had just gone.
Yeah.
Hodgson comes in, and just a bad time for the club. We weren't going in any sort of direction. As I say, we nearly lost the club. I think it was like 3 hours before it was point of call. The Bank of Scotland or something was calling their money, and we never had it. And then the new owners all of a sudden pulled this bid out of nowhere and saved the club. I say saved. They saw it as financial gain, really, and yeah.
So he wasn't really backed, and it sounds like it wasn't a good time behind the scenes as well.
No.
But it's tough, isn't it? You know, I think obviously you got Klopp in now, and he's been a success.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, and I guess sort of a lot of. I know Klopp's obviously wasn't associated with the club, but I know certainly with Tranmere, you know, we tend to do well when we've got someone with a bit of an affiliation with the club.
Yeah.
Mickey Mellon sort of played for us before, obviously Aldridge.
The turning point before Klopp was actually Kenny Dalglish.
Yeah.
Because Dalglish brought in Henderson. And even though at the time he weren't the best player, and I know there was a time he nearly left to play for Fulham, the player that Jordan Henderson is now, if we never had that in this team, it wouldn't matter who our manager is right now. Because Jordan Henderson's, I don't know whether Liverpool fans would agree. This is just my opinion, but he's a workhorse and he's a leader and he's all these things on the pitch. He's so valuable to our team. This is why we're not scoring goals and why our midfielders don't trust themselves to move forward now, because they haven't got Henderson cleaning it up for them behind. I know people talk about Van Dijk doing that and Gomez, but Jordan Henderson plays such a big role towards our defence that it goes unseen and unheard sometimes, but when he's not in that team, Liverpool look after the team that they are.
A key player, and it sounds like you're not letting, like you said, Mascherano, like at the time, and you do have these kind of linchpins, don't you?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that one for Tranmere, I mean, we've got, of course, James Vaughan, but Jay Spearing, who I know mentioned. But yeah, no, I get that. Probably more a sort of championship level player sort of throughout his career, rather than sort of playing for a top Premier League club, wasn't he? Really?
Yeah. I mean, he's he's dug out. I know he's been at a few clubs now, Blackpool and stuff like that, but he's dug out a career for himself, which is fair enough. He weren't a bad player. He weren't up for it. But I'll tell you the story about Jay Spearing. Actually, I always find this amusing. He was playing in central midfield in the derby one day, and it was against Fellaini. Everton had Fellaini in midfield,
Yeah.
and I was sat at Anfield watching the game. And in it was the upper centenary at the time. It's now the Kenny Dalglish stands. It's where all the posh people sit, you know what I mean? All the boss seats and all that. And they haven't really got a clue about the game, but they know they've got to go because they've got a bit of money.
Yeah.
And I just remember this fella shouting like 2 rows back, Jay Spearing hasn't won a header all game. He was getting fucking marked by Fellaini. I was like, you're fucking joking me. He hasn't won a header all game. I was like, no shit, Sherlock, you know what I mean?
Oh no. Yeah. All right. So from the lowest low,
Yeah.
onto the funny section now. So can you tell us about your funniest ever Liverpool player?
Funniest player, I think you see more of him now because he's on Sky, but Jamie Carragher is one of the funniest. I think on and off the pitch, he was great. I always remember when the Arsenal fans threw a pound coin at him. He picked it up and threw it back. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just unheard of, isn't it? But as I say, you see more of him now on the telly and that, and he's got great banter and stuff. But Jamie's one of them people as well. If you're out in the right places, you'll bump into him, and he's a great guy. He's a nice guy to talk to, let on with. He'll always let you get a picture and that if you want to, and he just lives and breathes football. He'll always give you his opinion if you ask for it as well. But I think he summarises Liverpool like, if you give us shit, we'll give you shit kinds of things. You know what I mean?
He's Mr. Liverpool, I think he's been called.
He is, yeah, he is. That's where the song Team of Carragher's came from, because everyone just saw, if everyone had the art of him at the time, Liverpool would have been 10 more leagues up, I think.
Yeah. I was listening to, I think it was one of the other football podcasts with, do you know Steve McNulty?
I don't know.
Like a lower league player, kind of defender. He's a Scouser. I think he was at the Liverpool Academy with, I'm trying to think now, but he was kind of, 20 years ago. But he was saying about sort of in the lower league, if you go to a lower league team, and if there's they've got a few Scouse players, like, that they're going to stick together, and they're going to sort of go through brick walls for each other and back each other up. And I think sort of Carragher, he kind of he's the embodiment of that, really, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's it. As I say, he lived and breathed Liverpool. I always remember as well, he got injured during the game and Benitez refused to bring him off. And he got the ball. And instead of playing the ball forward, he just fucking volleyed it at the side of the pitch. And he'd come off fuming, and he was saying to Rafa, you fucking dickhead, I told you to bring me off and all that. And he just didn't care, do you know what I mean? That was great because it showed his passion. And as I say, he knew the game.
Yeah, the big games for England when he was called upon.
Yeah.
Who can you think about the current team and the funniest current player?
You know what, right? The team at the minute, I think, are boring. I don't think there's much personality there, to be honest, like that with the banter. But I can tell you this, like, I've done an advert for Lavazza Coffee at the ground, and it was with Virgil van Dijk, Daniel Sturridge, and Dejan Lovren a couple of years ago. It was a week after Sturridge scored the screamer against Chelsea.
Oh, yeah.
And I was there, and there was 2 more actors with me, and we were doing this advert, and there was a little break in, like, filming. And one of the lads that I was with walked over to Van Dijk and said, how much are you getting paid to do this? And Van Dijk just looked at him and said, more than you. I'd say him probably, do you know what I mean? But obviously, like, you've got Andy Robinson, he looks like a laugh.
Yeah.
Besides that, I don't think there's much personality there, because there's a lot of foreign players as well, isn't there, in Liverpool's team? And
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard to see where the banter comes from. I don't think Trent Alexander-Arnold's got much about him, to be honest. That's someone I'd love to go for a bevy with, do you know what I mean?
Okay. So even Salah hasn't got any banter.
Salah, doesn't look like, does he? He's a great player. So is Mane. But they don't look like they've got much banter about them.
Yeah. Okay.
You just watch them. You just watch and say, "Where's the personality?" You don't see them doing it. It's only like Robbo, who you see on social media.
Yeah.
I think James Milner is very dry, and I always find that amusing. He's always got a little one-liner about him, and he looks like he'd take this, but he just looks like that's just him. That's just him. Naturally, he's not trying to be funny. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. What's his? He's got like a funny Twitter handle, hasn't it? It's something like the boring James Milner or something.
It's a fake profile, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, someone's made it up, and like they say like, just went downstairs and got some toast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like trying to say how dry he is.
I've been following him, and I thought it was him. I thought, oh, he actually really is.
It's really funny what it is. No, yeah, I know what you're on about. It is funny, but it's not. It's not him.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go. So, can you think about a funny chant that you've heard at Liverpool?
Yeah, I'm gonna take credit for one of my own chants that I started here.
By all means.
Torres just left us for Chelsea, and we played them. I don't know whether it was the day or two later, and we were at Stamford Bridge, and I had the away end full, just out there singing it. It sounded beautiful because the Chelsea fans weren't singing, and they all started singing "Has John Terry shagged your wife?" to Fernando Torres, and I was just like, I was so proud that I started that chant, and I'll never let that go. The only other one as well was we were at Norwich, and at the time Suarez weren't getting many like pen. He was always going down but never getting a pen.
Yeah.
And Liverpool at the time was singing this chant about Margaret Thatcher. When Margaret Thatcher dies, we're all having a party.
Oh yeah.
So I started singing, we're going to have a party, going to have a party. And as it got to that bit, my brother went, when Suarez gets a pen. And it went on for so long. I think it went on for about 4 months until Suarez next got a penalty. But everyone was singing it, and that was pretty funny for us. Like,
I'm trying to think, there was a time when he used to win a lot of pens.
Yeah, he went a long time without getting one, and then it was actually Stoke away that he got one. And I think we won the game like 4-0 or something like that. But it was there was a party.
Wow. So you come out with some original chants, and not just.
We try and start a few, and we're at the away game. We just speak our minds. They don't always go down well, but the odd time that you get one kicking off, it's good, isn't it? Good feeling. And then you're always trying to tell your mates, I started that, like, fuck off. No, you never.
So can you think about your funniest manager?
Got to be Jürgen, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's just Jürgen, isn't he? He's, you know, I know he comes out sometimes with some crazy excuses about the pitch was too wet and the wind was in our face and the girl on Rose Head had the tits out and all that, but he is a funny manager. I think his facial expressions alone are just, and you see him on the touchline, like, you know what I mean? He's just funny. He's just a funny guy. Sometimes he's asked silly questions in interviews and he's just like, what are you on about? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I didn't think there'd be much competition for that, really.
No. I mean, I was always a fan of Mourinho, but it got a bit boring for me.
Yeah. I think, you know, he is a naturally funny guy, isn't he? I think he's a personality and he comes out with what he wants, what he thinks. But he's just got that kind of persona, hasn't he, that he can make you smile.
Yeah. I think Harry Redknapp is very funny. I don't know whether you've read Harry Redknapp's book. It's something I gave his book a read, and he tells a story in there about who was he the manager of? I think it was Bournemouth. I think it was Bournemouth, and he went and scouted this player, and one of his staff said, "You need to sign him. You need to sign him." He's from like a lower league division and stuff like that, and Harry went and had a look and weren't too keen on him, but he took his staff's word on it.
Yeah.
He brought the lad, and he was dog shit. Just didn't fit into Bournemouth's play or nothing like that. And then the player went in to see Harry and said, "Boss, I've got a mate there who's asking for a trial. Will you give him a trial, like?" And Harry went, "What position does he play?" He went, "He's a striker." And Harry says to him, "Is he better than you?" He says, "I wouldn't say that, like." And he says, "Well, tell him to fuck off." The player went back to him 2 weeks later and went, "About me, mate. Sorry, I've got the fucking ice cream man going past here." Fuck off. The player went back in to see him 2 weeks later. Do you want me to let that finish?
It's all right. It's not your uncle, is it?
All right, okay. So yeah, the player goes in to see Harry Redknapp 2 weeks later and says, "Oh, my mate's got a trial there at Crystal Palace, the one I was telling you about. Give him a watch on the weekend."
Yeah.
So Harry went, "All right." It was only fucking Ian Wright.
Oh no.
He told him to fuck off. I think that's one of the funniest stories I've heard. But he's a great laugh, Harry. If you read his book, there's loads of funny stories in his book.
Right. And of course he was on the jungle and all that, wasn't he?
Yeah,
yeah. All right. So in terms of fans, you might have seen sort of go in the game. There might be fans that you see sort of quite regularly. And I'm sure there's a lot of competition for this. But can you tell me about your funniest fan?
There's a guy who I actually used to go to the game with. His name was Pav. His name's Paul, but he looked like Pavarotti. He was just fat and facial features and everything. At one point, he was just... So it was Pav. And we went everywhere. We went across Europe and home and away, wherever. Pav, and he dealt with all the tickets. You get everyone's tickets and all that. He was just in charge of everything, planning it and how much this week and all that. Some of the shit we'd get in with him, he was just so funny. I remember this time we were coming out of Ewood Park. Liverpool had just beat Blackburn 3-2. We were 2-0 up. We'd gone down to 10 men. Blackburn got it back to 2-2, and then Andy Carroll scored the winner in the last minute. And we came out of Ewood Park, and we were surrounded by Blackburn fans, and there was only 6 of us. We'd got away from like the Liverpool pack, surrounded by Blackburn fans. And Pav starts singing, "What do you do when it's 12 feet 10? You win 3-2 at Blackburn," right? And they just turned on us. Luckily enough, one of the lads clocked like a group of coppers by this bar, and we sort of saved our arse a bit because they all just turned on us. But it used to get us in so much shit. We were driving through, I think we've gone through France or Germany. No, sorry, we've gone to Switzerland. I think we must have been playing Bâle or something like that. And the traffic lights over there, if your tyres go over the line, it's not even like a midway thing like in England and not like that. If tyres touch the line that the lights are on, the camera flashes. We're flying down this road, and last minute he sees it's a red light and he slams on, but the car keeps going, and his wheels just go over the line, and it flashes, and he goes, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" So then we laugh it off and that, and about 15 minutes later, flying down another road, brakes again, the car just goes, flashes again, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" And it kept going on. It just kept happening for about an hour. He must have ended up with about €500 worth of fines. But he just got us in so much shit. He's not arsed. He was always the driver, and to avoid sitting in like traffic, he'd drive up one-way streets and over people's back gardens and everything. He just didn't care. He's really funny, but he'd come out with great shouts at the match as well and that. And hated referees, fucking hates referees. He once ran from the top. There's another story I've just thought of as well. But he once ran from the top of the stand right the way down and tried to he's trying to get on the pitch to kill fucking Howard Webb. He was fuming with him over the decision. But he's just nuts. Another story that's come to me at the bar. I'm sorry, I know I'm ranting on about him here, but
yeah.
we were at Birmingham, and I don't know where. Have you been to Birmingham? Ever been there? Their ground?
The Tranmere, yeah.
Behind the away stands is they've got boxes for the home, for home fans.
Yeah.
So we're all there, and obviously, like, there's a couple of little kids in the box and they're pointing their pads and banging on the window saying "fucking fat," and all that. He let it go for a little bit, but then some of the adults started joining in. So Pav's fucking there punching fuck out of the window trying to break into this box. Gets himself fucking dragged out of the ground and all that. He's just a fucking nutcase, but he's so much fun. I could go on. I've got more stories about him. He's just a genius.
Yeah, carry on.
Like we were going to the Liverpool playing him. Again, sorry.
The Pavs podcast.
Oh, Pavs, mate. He could write a book, you know. And you're talking about 55 to 60-year-old fella. He's been following the Reds all his life. He's always said that, like, he put football over, like, the chance of having a bird and all that. He just lives football. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we were going to the semi-final, the FA Cup, Liverpool playing Everton at Wembley. But we drove up the night before, and we were going to stay at a Travelodge on the M1.
Yeah.
So we get up there, and he missed the turning for the Travelodge and slams on in the first lane of the motorway and starts kicking off at the passenger, Stewie, saying, "You were meant to fucking tell me when the turn was coming up." So they're arguing, and me and my mate Jay are like in the back of the car looking at each other. And then we look behind us, and all you can see is this fucking lorry coming towards us. We're like, "Pav, fucking go, go!" He's just slammed on and stopped in the middle of the first lane. It's like, he's actually nuts. He's lost the plot. We used to do like little quizzes and stuff like that. And he was asked a question one day. He's very knowledgeable, like.
Yeah.
And he was asked a question one day. Again, he's driving. Fucking another story just popped up as well. This is what it's like going the game with him. So he gets asked a question in this quiz, and he's thinking about the answer, and we're like, "Go on, mate, give us an answer." And he goes, "No." So he's driving, and then he goes, "I know." He covers his eyes. He's going, "I know this one. I know there's fucking 80 down the motorway," and he's going, "I know it, I know it, I know it." I was like, "What are you fucking doing?" But the last one I'll tell you about him. Sorry, I know I've ranted on about Pav here, but he deserves this.
Yeah, go for it.
The same journey as we were driving up. We just got past Birmingham, and but on the way up, we always have a little bevy and stuff like that. And I was like, "Give me one." I was like, "No, you're driving, do you know what I mean?" And he's like, "No, you've got to give me one." So I went, all right, we'll give him one, but don't fucking let anyone see you, do you know what I mean? So he's there and he's swigging it. Bottles of fucking bud or something we had. And this car kept driving past us, slowing down, and then coming back, and it just kept happening for a bit. And then they started taking pictures. So we were like, "They're probably fucking telling the coppers them, do you know what I mean?" So we pulled up at the services. Pav had a coffee, and he'd actually had like 1 or 2 bottles. We don't know why. We'd had a few, and just somewhere he'd managed to get hold of another one. He'd had a couple of bottles, and he stops. He has a coffee. We have something to eat, and then we kept going. 5 minutes back onto the M1, and we get flashed by this unmarked Subaru. So they come to the car and they go, "Driver, we've had reports that there's 4 gentlemen drinking cans of ale in this car." And Pav goes, "Well, that's a fucking lie, because we're drinking bottles." They get him out the car, put him in the back of the police car. We're sat there thinking, fucking hell, like, we've all had a drink. None of us can drive to the final destination. We're gonna fucking miss the game tomorrow, do you know what I mean? We're all fucking sat there thinking, what are we gonna do? Anyway, meantime, in the back of the car, he blows a 0 on the breathalyzer. A 0, not even like a 1 or a 2. He blew a 0, and then had the cheek to ask them if the end of the M1 was open, and then gets out and starts going like that on the end of the foot. Starts celebrating, like doing the airplane fucking celebration. I was like, the fella is fucking nuts, mate. Absolutely nuts. And that's it. That's the end of me rant about Pav. Sorry, guy.
Bit of a character. What can I say?
Oh, mate. That's only half of the stories we can tell you, mate. He's just constantly at it. He's nuts.
Okay. So, but definitely somebody not to get in a car with
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad to drive. I'm glad to drive myself now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, get the train or something, you know.
Something I actually said to me mate, I said to him, funny enough, the other day, like, how many times did Pav actually nearly kill us? And every week we still got in his car. It didn't matter because he was the driver, do you know what I mean? It didn't matter where we were going, Norwich, Reading, anywhere, we were just going. And we were just in the back of the car with this lunatic.
And you still live to tell the tale.
Just about.
All right. So, and this might involve Pav. It might do. I suspect it might do. Can you think about your funniest ever away day and a story about that?
In sense of actually being at the match, or like the whole day?
So the whole day, really.
The whole day, yeah. We went to the Champions League final in 2007 in Athens.
Yeah.
I know we lost it. That was probably, do you know what? Going back to your question before, that was probably the most guttering. That was worse than Paul Konchesky signing for Liverpool, because it was the Champions League final I've been to. We lost it to Milan 2-1, and that was like the most depressing moment ever. But through the day, it was great. And Pav, we woke up that morning, and it was me, my uncle, Pav, and some lad called Mark stayed in a different room to us. So my uncle goes, go and wake them up. Someone knocks on the door, and Pav answers. And Pav's a big guy, yeah. Big guy, very big. At the time, I think he's lost a lot of weight now. At the time, he's big. And he stood there in just this blue thong. I'm a fucking 14-year-old lad, 15-year-old lad, something like that. I should not be looking at this man. Stood there in just a blue thong. Alan is sat on the bed, he's looking at me like, why have I got to stay in this room with him? But the whole day was funny. The train journey to the ground and everything. Like, because he was a big lad, he missed the train that we got on.
Yeah.
So a couple of stops later, we thought, oh, we'll get off and wait for him on the next train. But he thought that we'd stayed on the other train, so we got off and we phoned him, and we're saying, like, where are you? You never made the train. He's like, you fucking got off from me, and he's fuming. But we can see him now because we're on the same train, but he doesn't know we're on it. He's fucking fuming. He's like, fucking asses and all that. You've got my ticket. And my uncle's winding him up saying, no, we're going to sell your ticket. Yeah, there's a lad here who's offered us all sorts of dough. So, and he's, fuck off. You're not selling my ticket and all that. And then my uncle, after a bit, my uncle says, hey, do you know that bird in front of you? Cracking little rack, hasn't she? You know what I mean? He's like, you fucking knobheads! Kicked off on us. Any time you go to an away game with Pav, you just seem to be in stitches. It doesn't matter. I'd say the Blackburn incident was funny. Outside Man City, he'd done something similar. We were at Manchester City, and he started shouting off the top of his fucking voice, your fucking club has only been here since 2008 and all that. It was just like the amount of times he's nearly got our heads kicked in.
Just probably just took it right up to the limit, didn't he? But sounds like a character. So yeah, hopefully he's listening to this. And
but that's the thing about him as well. He's very superstitious. He'll only wear this certain blue shirt to the match. He's got to have his earphone in his left ear. He's got to, if there's 6 years at the game together, he's got to stand at the very end of the 6 years. He's really superstitious. It's mad. He's got all these superstitions that he's picked up over the years. And yeah, he's such a character, mate. But some of the best times of my going to watch the Reds have been with him. So I've got to give him his credit. You know what I mean?
Good stuff. Good stuff. So yeah, so Pav, if you're out there, some great stories. And yeah, hopefully you can keep them coming when we get back in the stadiums next season.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully.
All right. Okay. So thinking about your comedy sort of coming up, I know we talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but what shows have you got coming up, Dean?
So I'm taking part in So You Think You're Funny. That's a competition.
Yeah.
This was meant to be last year, but obviously it got delayed, and that's May 17th. the end of May, I've also got the Frog and Bucket. I'm going to try and beat the Frog because I've never managed to yet.
Okay.
I've got my own gigs, obviously, at Connect Studios coming up. I'll be hosting them, and I think there's one in Walton that I'm doing as well. So there's bits and bobs out there that seem to be getting a bit more, and I can't wait. Have you got any booked in yourself, Guy?
I've got just this week. I've got well, I'm based down in London.
Yeah.
There's one called the Back. It's actually a pub called the Back.
Right. Okay.
They do like it's in East London, so they've got like a beer garden where they have a bit of a comedy show there. So I'm doing that. I think it's the 6th of May, and I've got some coming up in Camden, the Camden Cabaret. So that's over sort of middle of Camden Town, and there are 2 shows in June, one on a Sunday and one midweek.
Have you ever gigged in the Northwest?
I haven't, no. No. I mean, I've only been doing comedy about the same time as you.
Yeah.
He's a bit older, I think, than you, definitely.
That's something that I've always found interesting. Like, how would I go down with like a London audience, or even more northern than that, Birmingham? I haven't been to these places yet. So, I mean, if you're ever up to watch your beloved Tranmere, mate, I'm more than happy to put you on a spot as well.
Yeah, would love to perform up there. Yeah, I've done Zoom shows with a lot of Merseyside comics. There's one that I host called Roller Coaster Comedy that I do. We've got our next show on Sunday. But there's a few of the Merseyside comics we've had on that. I think I think you go down well. I think when I've seen Merseyside acts perform in London, they tend to go down well. I think the Londoners get Merseyside humour.
Right.
I think there is a bit of a kind of the Cockney humour is quite similar to Scouse humour, and they do go down well, definitely. And I think they like Northerners as well. Yeah, but I think you do well, and I think definitely with the crowd work as well.
Yeah.
There's not many comedians. I mean, I try and do a bit of it, but generally people don't tend to do crowd work. Is
it frowned upon, or is it just not one tries it?
No, I don't think it's frowned upon. And I think that's the thing. I don't know. Have you ever kind of spent any time in London?
Yeah, well, my brother used to live down there, so he was on the outskirts. He was like Walton-on-Thames, something like that.
Yeah, well, I've lived in London 20 years, and it's like the default is that people, like, I think just generally when people are out and about, so say if you're out in a pub or whatever, you don't really mix with people who you're not with. But
right, okay.
It's just that, like say if you're out in Liverpool.
Yeah. You meet friends in the beer garden, don't you, in Liverpool?
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm kind of used to all that, but it doesn't happen as easy in London. But I think if you make the effort, people are okay with it.
Yeah.
I think it might be because there's a lot of people from different places, and I don't know. It's difficult, but if you do make the effort and you speak to people, people do tend to kind of receive you quite well, and and I think definitely with crowd work, when you do see people doing crowd work, it tends to go down really well because people aren't used to it, and they think, oh wow, they're kind of including us. So yeah, I think you do well if you ever sort of come down. I can sort of point you in the right direction. Obviously, there's loads of shows on, but some are better than others and sort of better audiences and all that. But yeah, by all means, I'd love to do a show sort of in the Northwest. See how.
Mate, I just said to you there, if you're ever coming up to watch Tranmere or anything like that, or you're passing through or got a gig local, if I've got something on the same time, mate, I'll have you on it, no problem.
Great. Well, I'll give you a shout. All right. So, if people want to find you on social media, where do they find you, Dean? Where do they?
So my personal account is This Is Aldridge. I've got Dean Aldridge Comedy on Facebook. Obviously, I spoke about the Friday night stuff before as well. That's all on there. Yeah, that's where you can get me. I've got a Twitter, but I don't really use it. I just go on there to slag Piers Morgan off, really.
There you go. What else is Twitter for? Okay. Look, so check out Friday night at Dean Aldridge and look out for him on social media. And so there's some of these shows coming up, the Frog and Bucket. And what was the other one, Dean, you said?
Connect Studios it is, mate. I just want to plug there, it might be of interest to you. Friday night with Dean Aldridge, I've got Chris Kirkland coming on to do an episode in 5 weeks, 6 weeks from now. So probably not long after this goes out. So just to point you into the direction, it might be a nice interview for you to watch that.
Exciting stuff. So goalkeeper Chris Kirkland, back in the day. All right, well, it's been a pleasure to have you on, mate.
Thank you, Guy.
And good luck with getting back to live comedy, and good luck with the show.
And yourself. Thank you, Guy. Take it easy, mate.
All right.